Ducati might have become a force to be reckoned with, but that hasn't been the case for a long time. Up until last year, Ducati were the team trying and failing to win the Riders' title for 15 years. The first one to take Ducati to the top was Casey Stoner, and in a recent mini-documentary made by Motogp, Stoner admitted that back in 2007, switching to Ducati seemed like a huge mistake. Prior to switching to Ducati, Stoner was riding the Honda in LCR colors, which was the dominant bike of those years. Switching from the sweet-handling lightweight RC212V to the heavy and bulky Desmosedici GP7, which only wanted to go in a straight line, Stoner found himself in a very tough situation. However, as we now know, things didn't go so horribly for Casey and Ducati in 2007, and in many ways, the Casey-Ducati years made Ducati underestimate the huge issues their bike had back in the day. Remembering the switch to Ducati and the 2007 season, Stoner said, "When I signed for Ducati it was very exciting. Go to a factory team. Despite this, the bike looked much better on paper, in the results, than it seemed to us, out on the track. After my first laps on the bike, my thought was, what have I done? I made a big mistake." That year, our bike was very difficult to ride. It was an extreme bike because of an extreme engine. Speaking about the different path Ducati chose as compared to the Japanese factories, Stoner said, "A lot of people thought 800cc bikes will handle very well. Especially the Japanese manufacturers said, we want a light bike, something that turns very well. But Ducati went in the completely opposite direction and said, we don't really care about the chassis at the moment, let's try to get it to go fast on the straight. So we were fighting all year trying to get the bike turn." These days, Ducati are among the more affluent factories on the grid, but back in 2007, that was not the case. They were so limited with their budget that all through the year, Casey Stoner and Loris Capirossi rode the same bike without any upgrades. We had no budget, so the bike we started the year with was exactly the same as the one we finished with. We didn't get a new chassis, new parts, or a new engine. Nothing. At the end of 2010, Casey decided to jump ships and go back to the Honda family, this time in the factory team. That is when Ducati realized the magnitude of problems they had with their bike. Ducati CEO, Claudio Domenicali recalls, "We weren't close enough to him. He didn't feel the support from the team. We made some mistakes at the time, so Casey leaving was primarily our responsibility. When Casey left, we understood that we had a big problem with the bike. What happened next had so much potential of being a fairy tale. The Italian master on the Italian bike. But things didn't go as planned, and Valentino Rossi remembers, the reality is that I have never been fast with that bike, not even once since the first test. The bike was not what was expected, it was difficult and I had many riding problems." Explaining more, Valentino's childhood friend, Lucio Salucci said, "There was a great emotion in Italy. His motivation was very high, he wanted to show that he could win not only with Yamaha, but with other bikes too, even with Ducati. When Valentino got on the bike for the first time he said, okay, it's not an easy bike to ride. It was beautiful but very strange, the engine was very rough, he didn't get any feeling from it. They thought Valentino had what a rider needed to move the bike forward with the development, but he didn't. Not even the great Valentino Rossi could understand how to ride the Ducati. That was the lowest of the lows Ducati has seen in MotoGP. That's when Ducati created the three-pronged leadership, and separated the responsibilities between Gigi Dall'Igna, Paolo Ciabatti and Davide Tardozzi. And as we now know, they slowly and steadily worked out the issues of their bike, bringing innovations, sometimes controversial, often never seen before in MotoGP, and clawed their way up to the Triple Crown. The question is, are we entering an era of Ducati domination? Let's chat in the comments below. And before you leave, don't forget to hit the like button and consider subscribing if you aren't already subscribed.